All right, let's talk Ohio State Buckeyes football here for a little bit. Look, this is the time of the year. The recruiting class for 2024 is behind us. 99.9% of all transfers are set in stone. We're starting to see how every roster is going to shake out on top of the college football landscape. And the Ohio State Buckeyes have had an outstanding offseason. That's undeniable, but they aren't done making moves. They've gone away from making upgrades where needed in terms of the players, but they've made some really smart additions and promotions and changes to the coaching staff that could have a huge impact. Let's get into the report and we'll talk about it more on the other side. This is according to The Athletic. All right, Ohio State football has filled its 10-person assistant coaching staff as Ryan Day tabbed former Buckeyes All-American James Laurennus. That's a great name, great player right there, to be the linebackers coach. The 37-year-old Laurennus, who played at Ohio State from 2005 to 2008, was a graduate assistant last season after spending a year at Notre Dame. He provided an instant recruiting boost. Though he couldn't go on the road, he was able to help identify recruits and assist with on-campus recruiting efforts. Now he gets to head on the road as a full-time assistant. That's the key part there, enhancing his value in that area. Nobody knows what it's like to be a standout linebacker at Ohio State more than Laurennus. He is one of the most accomplished defensive players in Ohio State history, and now he'll have a bigger hand in developing the next generation of Buckeyes linebackers too. All right, so the promotion, the upgrade, the advancement of James Laurennus, however you want to describe it, I think is a massive move by the Ohio State Buckeyes and Ryan Day. I think will have a big impact, just like the report highlights. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but first, Buckeyes fans, look, like I said, we're getting close to spring ball. We're kind of seeing already what the Ohio State roster is going to look like on paper, but we're not far away from seeing what they actually look like on the practice field. Give us the one guy you're really looking forward to see during the spring ball phase, like the guy you think is ready to maybe step up and come out of the woodwork and become a big-time playmaker for Ohio State, and give us that guy in the comment section below. But Miles, give me your thoughts on this move by Ohio State and what it could potentially mean for them going forward.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is a great move for Ohio State. And there's a couple of reasons here why I think this is really smart. One, Ohio State has been known to be able to get former players, very, very good players, and have them cut their teeth early on in the coaching realm, starting at Ohio State, then moving on and being great coaches elsewhere. This is no different. Laurennus, while he started at Notre Dame, he also started pretty early on as graduate assistant, as we see last year at Ohio State. And now he's decided to stay there and come on and move and become a linebackers coach here as well. I think it's going to be big for them because we see guys like Marcus Freeman go on, played at Ohio State, started coaching at Ohio State, is going on, doing a great job at Notre Dame. You look at Luke Fickell, played at Ohio State, cut his teeth coaching at Ohio State. Then we see him did great at Cincinnati. Now he's over at Wisconsin doing a good job. Then most notably, Brian Hartline, also still coaching at Ohio State as well. So they've done very well in that department. So I think they know what they're doing when they do a move like this. And there's two other things. One was talked about in this article and the other isn't. So I'll address the first part in the article. The recruiting effort by Laurennus has to be elite with young linebackers coming into the school. Who wouldn't want to get really defensive players at anyone, really? Who wouldn't want to be recruited by James Laurennus, one of the greatest linebackers in Ohio State history? That has to be a big, big bonus for this team. But the other thing that I think was sneaky good is Jim Knowles is really going to get freed up from this as defensive coordinator, who last year was also taking on the linebacker coach duties as well. This is almost like the Ryan Day move, giving up play calling duties to Chip Kelly coming in. That's going to free him up to be, more focused on his job. Now Jim Knowles can be completely 100% focused on the defensive coordinator, defensive play calling duties, and Laurennus can come in, take care of the linebackers, take care of the recruiting on the defensive side of the ball. I think this frees up the team to be, as a whole, just better all around. Now, I know there's a kind of a hole at the special teams slot because Laurennus was hired on, but I think there's a big opportunity for some guys to step up. And as Ryan Day said, he's going to attack the special teams coordinator role as a job by committee. So a bunch of people are going to step up. They're going to get that role filled on their own. So I'm not really too worried about that. I just think this Laurennus hire was very big for the defensive side of the ball. And I think overall, this is going to make a huge improvement next season for the Buckeyes.
I couldn't agree more. I think first and foremost, you talk about freeing up Jim Knowles. I want to take another approach at this. Jim Knowles did play college football. He played defensive end for Cornell, the Ivy League school, Cornell, right? That's Nothing wrong with Cornell, right? Love the school. I'm sure the football program, Ivy League, I'm sure it's a special environment. It's a little bit different than Ohio State, right? And although Jim Knowles is a quality coach, there is an issue, especially as a position coach, with relating to the players and understanding what they're going through day to day. I played college football, FCS, D1 AA football, and the best coaches I ever had, the best position coaches, were the ones that played some level in college because they understood the day to day grind, the day to day activities, going to class, doing workouts, training, treatment, watching film. The hardest coaches, and by the hardest, I mean the worst, the coaches that just didn't do a good job developing players, were the ones who really didn't play a whole lot at the same level, right? Maybe they were high school guys only, and they didn't understand what it went into the grind of being a college athlete. They just would have unrealistic expectations that sometimes wouldn't even make sense, and it just created all kinds of issues. Again, the best position coaches are almost always guys who have been there before as former players. James Laurennus, as a linebacking coach, can be the guy to relate to the former players and understand what they're going through. And also, because he knows that, he's not going to allow them to get away with things that they otherwise could have as well. It's kind of a double-edged sword. Laurinaitis knows exactly what they're going through, so he understands the hardships, but he also understands the things they can't get away with as well because he was obviously once a player. So from that perspective, I'm looking forward to the linebacking group really improving with Laurinaitis, developing them and spending all of that hands-on effort. But I think the second element here, and it was mentioned in the article there too, is the Brian Hartline effect. Hartline is obviously one of the best position coaches in all of college football. He's an absolutely redonkulous recruiter. The dude is ridiculous for what he's able to do. If James Laurinaitis can become 50% of the recruiter of Ryan Hartline, he's one of the best recruiters in the country. And I think that's what Ryan Day's doing here. He's sitting there saying, listen, it worked with Hartline. I think it could work with Laurinaitis. We could have a similar dynamic here. And not that Ohio State needed a lot of help recruiting, but obviously when you're trying to return to the top of the Big Ten and make deep college football playoff runs, you need to take any advantage you can get. So I think Laurinaitis will definitely help with the development of the linebackers, being a former player himself. But I also think he could potentially have a Brian Hartline like effect in the recruiting department as well. This is overall a great move by Ryan Day, like you alluded to. And we're starting to see Day take a more CEO administrative kind of overseer kind of leadership role with Ohio State, which I think is really important. I think that's going to have a big impact on this team come fall.